All right. Ooh, this is some really bad lighting. Should I do this? Should I roll with this? I think I'm gonna roll with it. Today I watched The Lobster. I bought this at the HPB clearance sale. I found a few things. That's one of the things I bought. Right off the bat, I just finished it. Just finished it. The only thing I did was look up like one Reddit thread to like. When I watch movies, I like to like see what people say online and the reactions and things. And there wasn't like a huge post about it, but I read a few very small comments to kind of try to figure out and maybe inform my own feelings on it. But right off the bat, super raw. I don't love this movie. I like it. I like a lot of it. I think the first half. It's a 2-hour movie. I think the first half was great, so I think like when the second half happened and kind of a major event happened, I'll probably spoil the movie. So spoilers for The Lobster. Um, so the second half just wasn't as to me compelling. The premise of this movie. Well, first of all, it's made by Yorgos Lanthimos. I think I'm saying that right. He's made other movies like The Favorite, Dogtooth, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, becoming kind of a popular director with a popular weird director, if you will. The Favorite got nominated for some awards, and just a one that people talk about. I've only seen this one, The Lobster, and Killing of a Sacred Deer so far. I thought Killing of a Sacred Deer was very weird. It's not as weird. No, check that. It's weirder than this movie in more of like a kind of a disturbing way. This movie not as disturbing. It stars Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, John C. Reilly, Leah Seydoux, and I think that's how I say her name, and Ben Whishaw, who is Paddington, which he's not like Paddington in this movie at all. Also, Olivia Colman is in it. It's so basically the premise of the movie is in a kind of a dystopian future, sort of dystopian future. If you're single, you're taken to this hotel and you have 45 days to find a mate there, or you're turned into an animal of your choice. That's the premise of the movie. His choices would be the lobster. That's why a lobster. That's why it's called that. So I'm trying to figure out like what his deal is, what Colin Farrell's deal is. He is very. I think he's like not a very. He's not a sociable person. He's not a normal person. He thinks to him like relationships are something where you need to have like a commonality. However like deep or banal it is, you have to have like a commonality. Like I forget what it was with him and his wife. I just watched it, I know, but I totally forget. But him and his wife had a commonality of some kind. She left him for somebody else. There's a woman and also you go hunting and you try to find these loners that have escaped. And you shoot them with tranquilizer darts, and you bring them back, and you get extra time added to the 45 days. This sounds like a horror movie. Like the premise sounds like really dirty and sordid, but it's not. It's almost kind of sweet at times, to be honest with you. This movie, in a kind of an oddball way, but so there's this woman who has like 145 days. Like she's the best hunter. And she's heartless. They kept calling her she's heartless. And he fakes being this callous person to try to start a relationship with her, but pretty soon she finds out he's play pretending because she kills his brother who had been turned into a dog. She kills the dog to test him, and he breaks down, and she realizes. So this is about an hour into the movie. She's going to take him to the hotel manager to have him punished, or probably just turned into an animal. He escapes and leaves the hotel, and he runs into this group of loners out in the woods who are led by this woman. Her actor is Leah Seydoux. I think that's how I say her name. And through that, he meets Rachel Weisz, and they're both short-sighted, and so he has a commonality with her, and they start falling in love. And Leah Seydoux finds out. In this, it's kind of like a cult-like thing where they're not allowed to have relationships. They're the loners, and relationship is discouraged and punished if you share a relationship with somebody. So they find out that they're together, and they have this like nearsightedness. So she blinds Rachel Weisz. She takes her to a hospital or to a doctor and says, I'm going to correct your short-sightedness, but instead she blinds her to basically sabotage their relationship. And they kind of continue it. They try to, Colin Farrell kind of tries to show her the ropes, and they're planning to escape, so they finally do, and they make it to this, they go to this restaurant, and the last scene of the movie is them in this restaurant, and he's fully prepared to blind himself with a steak knife in the restaurant's bathroom, okay? You see him prep to do it, and then it cuts back to Rachel Weisz just kind of sitting in the booth waiting, and then it closed, the film ends. So that's basically the real quick recap of the movie. So to me, the movie kind of dips from my personal interest, after he leaves the hotel, because everything that was happening there was so oddball and hilarious at times, but also kind of just like shocking and like weird. And then when he, then when he leaves and kind of lives in the woods with these loners for the second half of the movie, I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of took me a while to get used to it, and I did get a little bit like, this isn't what I was hoping this movie, I wanted the whole movie to kind of take place in that, kind of the world of the hotel and the rules of this weird society. But in a sense, there's also the weird rules of this kind of cult-like thing in the woods, too, that this woman's running. And basically, Colin Farrell, I believe that they're in love, these two. But I also believe that he has a weird, skewed view of love where, like, you can't be a match. They kept talking about, well, we're a match. You can't be a match unless you have this commonality. And it's a really interesting thing. Maybe it's like a comment on, like, dating culture of today. Because, you use a lot of these websites and apps, and it's like, oh, you're a match. And, oh, you can peruse these people's interests and their interests and their favorite entertainment and their job and their sexual preference, whatever, before you ever even meet in person, or if you even choose to meet in person. And you match on Tinder and whatever. And so I feel like it's kind of maybe a little thing about that, and you have to have something in common. So and so I don't know if it's his thing where he's like, he's going to do it, and you don't know if he does it. You don't know if he does it. You kind of have to make your mind up. But I think the point is that he was willing to do it. He was fully prepared to do it. And I think maybe that's the movie showing you that, yes, indeed, he does love her, and they are compatible because he likes her enough or loves her enough to do this, to even consider doing it. And I think like the point of that is, yes, even if he's not blind, the commonality they share is love. And that's my interpretation of the movie. So maybe if I rewatch the film, now knowing that, okay, there's the first hour in the hotel, there's the second hour basically in the woods, and they go back to the hotel and, steal some stuff later. And all there's a lot to this movie that I haven't discussed, but that's the skeleton frame basic plot. And so if I watch this again, knowing what to expect, a second time, I would probably like it a lot more. I think I like it more than The Killing of a Sacred Deer. It is kind of funny, though, that Colin Farrell, I feel, was pretty similar in both movies. He's kind of just, like, very passive and letting things happen to him, and very deadpan in both things. It's very weird. This one came first, and it's weird. It's like Yorgos was, like, directing him. It's okay, more deadpan. All right, Colin, more deadpan. He never raises his voice. He never goes up and down in his vocal inflection. It's just this. It's just this. Hi, I'm Colin Farrell. It's just this. Like I'm not saying he's good or bad. It's just like that's the choice that he or the director made in both movies. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while since I watched Sacred Deer, but ultimately, yes, I would recommend this to people. It's so strange. The premise alone is just like, yeah. In this society, you have 45 days to find a mate. I'm assuming, like, once you turn 18, because there's some fairly young women that are at this hotel, too. Like, they seem like they're either, like, late teens, early 20s. So I'm assuming, like, once you're of age, you have this amount of time to find a mate. Or once you've, like, this case, broken up, divorced, your partner dies, things like that. You have this amount of time to find a new mate, partner, or you're turned into an animal. And it's funny because, like, I think they're trying, like, at this hotel, they're showing these little presentations, like a school assembly almost, of, like, here's how much better life is when you have somebody with you. And it's like, you're choking at dinner. If you're alone, you die. If you're with somebody, they save you. Or if you're walking at night, the woman gets attacked and assaulted. Or if she's with a man, the guy doesn't. It's very strange, and it's these really woodenly acted out school play, school presentation type things. And that's what I found very charming about this movie. So that's kind of why once he left the hotel, I kind of zoned out a little bit, and I don't like that. I want to probably rewatch this in a few months and really just focus in now, knowing that okay, the hotel, his life at the hotel is done. Now he's with these people, still focus in. And I think that again, I don't dislike the movie at all. I just I wanted to love it, and I did love the first half, and I think the second half was just not what I was expecting, and I need to rewatch it to try to appreciate the second half more. But that's what I have to say about The Lobster. Thanks a lot.